Okay, so let's briefly look at what's on canvas. So we looked at Patty, I think, right? And patterns are everywhere. We talked about that last class. So again, this is where you upload. So if you make a pattern, I will show you how to save it as a JPEG today, or not I say, but PNG. PNG. I like PNG better than JPEG. If you log in here, there should be a submit button, right? I don't get a submit button because I'm not a student, but and then you submit. It's like submitting an attachment. You know how to do an attachment like your email? Okay. So do that today. You can do that before you leave today. And then today we're going to do a brush one. I want you to do a brush drawing today. Here's the example that I want you to choose. Last semester we had kind of fun. I thought it would be kind of like a birthday flyer. I was thinking of what to draw. And last semester we were like drawing birthday cakes. Okay, so my theme I thought was like a birthday flyer, but you can draw. It was just an idea. But the drawing I want you to make kind of should follow some kind of maybe invitation theme, I guess. The example I have here, how about that? Invitation, maybe Valentine's Day. I was thinking Valentine's Day. So think of a drawing. Last semester, I don't have examples with me right now. I'll have to go back and look through, but I had some really great ones from last semester. Here's a video of me doing the birthday cake demo from last semester right here. Okay, you can watch that. In addition, here is some reading that you can do. We're going to talk a lot about brush strokes and how to deal with the brush strokes. And then here's another one that talks about bristle brush. And then here's kind of the inspiration I saw from the Macy's ad where they had the little present. I guess this was a Christmas present, but still. I like to see how you have the thick and thin lines. We're going to look at thick and thin lines right now. First thing we're going to look at how to make thick and thin lines, as well as rough lines. And so I'm looking for more of a line type of drawing, line drawing. Don't think of coloring. You can even just do it in black and white. My demo from last semester was all in like black lines, you know. But you can do color. It's up to you, but think more of lines. February 14th. Valentine's Day.
That's our present.
That's my present.
The homework is your present.
So whenever I give you an assignment, it's due the next week, right? Okay, so you'll do the next Tuesday. Hopefully we can show some in class. We like to show them in class. We don't show them all. It takes too long, but we just quickly throw a couple up there and say, it's a class. Okay, you don't have to show it if you don't want to. Though when you do yours, you're going to have to print out and show, though, eventually. And I do have a printer coming too, I think, soon. So let's get started. Again, we're going to go to Illustrator, and I'm going to talk about the brushes. And not necessarily brushes, strokes. And the strokes and the brush are very similar. So let's not worry about size right now. I'm just going to go under File, New, File, New. And I'm going to go to, I like doing the landscape because it's wider on the screen. You can do portrait if you want, or you can make something square. Any size you want. I'm just doing default right now. Size will be very important in the future though, especially when we get to making things like for your iPhone. We're going to make things for your iPhone. They need to be specific sizes. If you ever look at the icons, they're all the same size on your iPhone, right? Okay, so right now size isn't that important, but in the future it will be. Okay, the first thing I'm going to talk about is actually the stroke, which is a line. If you look right here, you have this line segment tool. Let's just look at that for a moment. So if I click on this and I want to make a straight line, hence it's called a line segment. And so you have different lines. You have a line segment, you have an arc, you have a spiral tool, you have a rectangular grid tool, and a polar grid tool. Let's not deal with these right now. Let's just do some simple ones right now. So simple line tool does one thing. It makes a line. So you can just click and drag and let your mouse up and it'll make a line. The arc is very similar. If you click with the arc, it'll make a kind of a curved line. So you can simply click and draw a line depending upon if you're going up or down. It's a little awkward, and I'll show you a different way next week when we get to doing the pen tool. But this is an arc tool, and it makes kind of an archy line, if that's a word. Now these lines are nice and straight, and what makes the thickness of the line is actually up here where you see point size up here. So again, I just drew an arc and I drew a line segment, either one, just by clicking and dragging with the mouse. And the size of the line is dictated by this option here called the stroke. And so since the arc is still selected, if I come over here and change the stroke to a 2, you'll notice it gets a little bigger, little bigger, little bigger, little bigger, super big, okay? So you can change the size because it's selected. In addition, you have the ability to adjust the line itself. Right now it says uniform, which means it's the same thickness through the whole thing. If you come over here, you can see you can adjust it so it's not thick. It goes thin on one end and thick in the middle, like that. Looks like a smiley, doesn't it? Okay, so there's different options here. Like that. Go back to uniform. I'm going to go back to uniform. Another option you'll notice here for a line is stroke is the basic, and you can actually go to different options just like we were looking at when we were looking at the brush the other day. Remember when we tried to brush, I think last week, and when we were you can actually adjust to something like that. Okay. So we'll look at that a little bit later today. I'm going to go back to basic, and let's make it a little thicker. Sorry, it's way down there. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, so we have one line. Now, what was introduced to Illustrator back in about 2 versions ago? I think 2 versions ago, 2014, I think it was. The 2013 or 14 version introduced the ability to adjust the thickness of the stroke with a tool, okay, and it's called the stroke brush tool thickness maker thing. It's this one right here, width tool, that's what it's called the width tool. So how it works is by putting points along a stroke to allow you to make it thicker or thinner. For example, I'm going to use this tool. It's right here. It's called the width tool. And if I come over to my line here, you'll notice as I drag my line, it has like a little plus on the cursor there. If I click on it, it'll actually put a point there, and it'll allow me to make it thicker or even thinner at that area. And you can do another one and make it thinner, and do another one and make it thicker, and do another one, make it thinner, and do another one, make it thicker. So again, it's this tool right here. It is used to adjust the size of the stroke by clicking along the path. You can see the blue path there. If I click on it, it'll click and hold the mouse down. It'll allow you to adjust it.
Does that exist in CS6?
No, I don't think so.
Just in the...
I think it was introduced in 2014. CS6 is probably 2010. I think CS6. But it might be, I don't remember. Okay, so this might be a one way to make cool or interesting points. You can adjust your arc by using, remember, to move points, you can use the direct selection tool. Remember this one, the direct selection tool right here, right? Okay, so you can use that to adjust your points. These are called directional arms. We'll learn about most of these next week. You might want to play with them today. Which tool? I'm sorry? I am using the direct selection tool, the one we use to move points. And since this is a line, I have points on the end. See, one here and one here. And it allows me to move the points around to adjust the stroke. And these are called directional arms. We'll learn all about those next week. Let's not deal with them too much today. Okay, let's get to making our birthday invitation, and we'll learn more about points when we go along. I just want to introduce you to lines and that. Okay, so, oops, some other stuff. Okay. So let's get into making an actual drawing. Again, I might draw, I don't want to really draw. How about we draw hearts? It's Valentine's Day coming up, right? We got hearts. Okay, so we talked about, again, the line segment tool, the arc tool. I'm not even going to deal with the spiral tool right now. So those are two here. The next one I want you to go is a tool that we've already used, and that is the pencil tool. The pencil tool is located here underneath the this tool right here. It's under the shaper tool here. It's called the pencil tool. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down on the left side, and if you hold your mouse down over top of it, you'll see you have the pencil tool. Now the pencil tool is just like the line tool and the arc tool. It'll draw there. Now it'll do a fill, and if you remember when we were doing mountains and landscapes in that one landscape that we did a little bit ago, we went woo, and we went all the way back to the beginning, and oh, notice it didn't do a fill. Why? Remember there's options under the pencil tool. So let me delete that. So again, if you want to not draw with a fill, well, the fill's turned off anyways. That's probably why I didn't do it. But if you want to know, there's options underneath there. If I double click on the pencil tool, you'll see fill new pencil stroke. You can turn it off so you're just drawing with lines. So, and then if you want it to be smoother or accurate, again, smoother will not follow the line just perfect. It'll try and make it a smoother line. If you go to accurate, it'll kind of follow the cursor exactly where you put your mouse and draw. So those are kind of the options there. And if you don't want to keep it selected, you can turn that off too. What that means is as you draw with the line, it's selected still after you're done drawing it. In addition, you can actually adjust some settings up here before you draw. The size, remember the size. So again, I'm using the pencil. This is a fine way to draw. You do not have to do this assignment with a brush. I will go over brushes just in a minute, but you can just use this pencil. If I was going to draw a heart, I could go with my lovely heart here, like that, and we got a heart. Okay. Notice how that you got this little sharp, kind of pointy end here. See the sharp, and then the ends are kind of hard edged. Do you see that? Let me do another one. You see how they're pointy like that? It's pointy like that. Okay, so there's an option you can use to adjust the way that the kind of line comes together. Okay, as well as the end here. Maybe you want it round. Let me zoom in. I'll show you what I mean. Look at the end of this. It's square, and the end kind of here is kind of because it's sharp, kind of followed it. So if I want to smooth this and smooth that, there's actually a stroke option. So I have to select it first. If I select my line and go to the stroke options, which is underneath a pop-up window, and all pop-up windows are under window stroke, right here, stroke. Under the stroke options, and let me bring the stroke options over here, it might pop up over there and you might have to bring it out. Now it doesn't show you a lot of settings. All it says is weight. Do you see that? So there's actually more settings underneath there. It's just hiding them from you. Okay, to show more options for this, if you go in the upper right corner here, there's like a little dashes, little lines right there. If you click on that, you'll see, oh, show options right there. See how it says show options? If I click on that, it'll show me more things, and here's where you can adjust the options for your line. And you can already see what it does. You can see, hey, I want a round edge on the end of my line, or a square one, or a round edge where the two lines kind of come together, right? Or a bevel that's kind of a bevel. That's what that called. So if you adjust, so my line is selected, right? See how my heart is kind of selected? That's not a very nice heart, is it? But if I click here, notice that they become round down there. See how they're round now here? And then if I click here, watch the edge, watch this edge right here. It'll get kind of round there. Not perfectly round, but it rounded it off a little bit. And then in addition, if you want, you can do a dashed line in this window. You can adjust the dashes by adjusting the point size of the dash line. In this case, if you want it, we can go down to like 5 and see what it does. Ooh, they're too close together. How about we do further apart? 20, hit dash. Ah, now they're further apart. So you can adjust dashes if you want. And then, of course, a very useful feature is the arrowhead. I use arrowheads a lot. I do a lot of business stuff. And in the business stuff I do, I have diagrams that point to things. Okay, so I use the arrowhead a lot. If I in the line segment. So if I draw a line segment, boom, I can come over here to arrowhead and choose one. Boom. It depends on the size. You might have to. Oh, why does it stay on? I don't know why it didn't stay on. But I use that a lot for diagrams. And the size of the arrow depends upon the thickness of the stroke. A thicker stroke, thicker arrow. Thinner stroke, thinner arrow. And I think there's a way to adjust it maybe. I'm not really sure. Oh, look at that. That's both directions. Look at that. Oh, look at that shape. Cool. Okay, so there's all kinds of ways to draw lines in this program. Again, the pencil tool is a useful way. This one right here, to make nice, smooth lines. That's not a very good heart, is it? Oh, well, we can break our heart there, right? Achy, breaky heart. So it's nice and thin. So the pencil's great for nice thin. But you can also use this tool to make it thick and thin, right? I can use this tool. Hey, come over here and click on that and go whoosh. Look at that. Woo. Hey, how about that? Woo. Whoosh. Woo. Whoosh. Remember the tool we use? Okay, so you can use that tool I just showed you, the one that's the width tool, to change that. Okay, last thing for today. We'll just a quick demo today. And then I'm going to let you work on your computer and I'll come and help you. Okay, I'll come and help you. Okay, brushes. I want to go over brushes are also a great way to make, and remember the brush uses which color? The fill or the stroke? Brushes? Stroke color, yeah. So practice the lines today. Let me delete this stuff. And again, the last one I'm going to demonstrate today would be the brush and maybe the blob tool if you want me to show that too. But the brush in general uses the stroke. So again, it's going to use the size. You have size. It's going to use the stroke size over there. And then you can have a brush definition here. And of course, it's already at what is that, chalk, I think. So if I go and I can draw my heart like that, notice how it kind of appeared, the line kind of fell apart at the end because of the way the brush is. Okay, so let me draw another one. Again, you can change the size here, and brush, change the size, and a thicker one will be thicker. And I guess that doesn't look like a birthday cake to me, does it? Okay, let me make my birthday cake now. Okay, here we go. Birthday cake. Ooh, that doesn't look like a birthday cake, does it? No, it doesn't look like a birthday cake. No, let's not do that. How about we change it back to basic? There we go. Or, oh, there's some other ones in there. How about this one? Calligraphy brush. Look at this one in the brush option. So if you double click on this, it'll open up an option. Ooh, there's even more options under there. Now this one, if you notice, it has kind of thick and thin brush. It's not a simple round brush. And the advantage of this is that you can get a calligraphy book. If you've never heard of the word calligraphy, it's where you draw with a pen where it's kind of thicker and as you draw down and go around, it's thin in some spots and thicker in other. Calligraphy pen. So that's sort of what this is like here. If you notice, I can change the angle of this. I can make it thicker or thinner like this. You can change the size of it to make it thicker or thinner here as well. And the advantage of drawing with something like this is that, hopefully I can draw, where's my brush? There it is that as I draw around, you'll notice look how it's thin here. Let me zoom in a little bit here. So notice how it's thin here and thicker there because of the ovalness, if that's a word, ovalness of the brush. Okay, let me finish my birthday cake. Here we go. I'm going to do a cake here. Birthday cake. Oh, that's not very good. Undo. What's undo? Command Z. Okay, I'll start over. Okay, here we go. How about some lines going down? There's a layered cake, layered cake, layered cake, layered cake. Cake. How about we put Some lines around there. It looks more like a drum, doesn't it? It's a drum. And of course we can put dots down. Look at that, just with the brush, just the little sprinkles on my cake. And then I might go back to the brush. That's this crazy brush for maybe some candles. Look at this. I'm gonna go to that, make that really big, and give me some candle. Is that a candle? Flaming candles. There we go. I don't think I could have enough candles. I'm too old. Okay, so last thing, I know I keep saying last thing, is let's just look at how to change the brushes. So you might want to use other brushes than the default ones. Again, these are just the default ones right here. These ones right here are default. I talked about this one with the thick and thin. I talked about this one with the brush, but there's a whole bunch of other ones you might want to try. What are some of the other ones? And let me move this. Oops, I was going to move this out of the way, but let's move it out of the way. The brushes are located underneath a pop-up window. Imagine that, a pop-up window. So if I go under Window, Brushes, right here, you'll see there's a brush pop-up window right there. In this brush pop-up window, you can change the brushes. How you change the brushes is, of course, remember the little lines in the upper corner which gave us the more options for the stroke? Remember the more options for the stroke? We're up here in the upper corner here, right? Well, over here is where you choose the brushes in the upper corner here. So if I click up there, you'll notice there is an open brush library all the way down there. Woo, look at all these brushes. You're just going to have to try them all. There's a whole bunch of wonderful ones there. If you get on there, of course, there's artistic brushes where you can draw like a charcoal calligraphy. We just talked about what calligraphy was. Remember the thick and thin line, right? Ink, paintbrush, scroll pen, watercolor, all kinds of brushes. Borders, bristle brushes, decorative, image brushes, vector pack brushes, and if you have a tablet, some of you have a pressure sensitive tablet, you can take advantage of that by using some brushes there. In addition, you can go and download brushes. There's a whole bunch on the internet. Just go to Google and type in Illustrator brushes. Boom, you're going to get a whole bunch of them. Okay, so you can actually download, and if you download one off the internet and you want to use it, look right there, other library. It'll give you the option to open whatever you download. So let's just try some of the artistic ones. Some of the ones I like are the charcoal pencil one and a paintbrush one. They're all kind of interesting. If you click on them, you'll notice it'll give you a pop-up window, and you can see all the different types in there. There's a whole bunch of different ones in there. Again, you get kind of this charcoal-y-like look, if that's a word, charcoal-y-like. And you can click on this and try it. Okay, we did a birthday cake. What other? Oh, we can do a hat. Birthday hat. There we go. And then maybe some little, there we go, birthday hat. Or of course it was Valentine's Day, we can go our Valentine. Ooh, that was a better one. I'm starting to get better at making hearts, aren't I? Better than the first one I did, right? So again, there's a whole bunch of brushes under there. There's more of them again, open brush library, and so on. Next week we'll learn how to make what's called an art brush, and things like that. What are there? Oh, there's a bristle brush library. Gives you these nice kind of bristle brushes. These are kind of like painterly kind of brushes. These ones right here. Ooh, notice how I had that selected and I clicked and it changed it. Did you see that? No. Look at this brush. Or this one. I don't know. Looks like an amoeba. Must be in biology class there. So we look at things like that underneath your microscope. That's probably what's in my stomach because I don't feel good right now. I'm a little sick. I'm going to drink some water. Okay, last thing. I told you last thing. Saving. Saving is doing. Now, you can save as a PDF as well and put it on Canvas, and I can read it, or not, yeah, and I can read it through Canvas. So a PDF is fine. I showed you how to do that last class. Remember, it's under the File, Save As, and then change the format to PDF. That's fine. Though I'm going to show you today how to save as a PNG. What PNG stands for Portable Network Graphic. I believe is what N stands for, network graphic. The PNG was invented in the late 90s because of certain graphic formats like JPEG and GIF were supposedly owned by companies, and you had to pay a licensing agreement to use them. CompuServe owns GIF, and back in 1997, you're always going to hear me talk about 1997 was a pivotal year of everything. There was a company that claimed they owned the license to JPEG, and it went to court, and they lost. And that company was Intel. Intel thought they owned the license to JPEG, and they wanted people to pay them. You know, hey, you want to use JPEG, you're going to pay us a licensing fee. And it went to court, and Intel lost. It's kind of open source, but with those, you know, kind of problems, there was open source people developed another format called PNG, and we've been using it ever since. It's a great format. I use it on my phone all the time. When I'm teaching web design, we use it all the time. Now, one of the things to keep in mind when you save as a graphic format like a PNG, it only saves what's in the art bin, in the art board. Like if I save this as an Illustrator file, you notice I have things outside. This will be saved because it's Illustrator. You can open up and see that. But if you save as a graphic format, it's only going to save what's inside the box. Even this little bit will be gone. The little bit that's on the outside. So to save as a PNG, my amoeba here, I go underneath File, Export. It depends. I'm sorry. Depends on the version you have. This version you can go under File, Export. There is and the newer version. There's actually a save. There's a different option. It allows you to adjust the sizes and other new things. In fact, the newer version allows you to save this in 3 different sizes at one time. And the reason why you do that is because when you program on your cell phone, you have 3 different sizes for the different displays. When you get to the app design class, I'll teach you that. But in app design, when we program in Xcode, which is the programming for an app, we have 3 different sizes for graphics because the program will then serve the appropriate size graphic according to iPhone 7, iPhone 6, iPhone 5, and they all have different size graphics. And the new version of Illustrator actually has that in there. Not this version, but the new version of Illustrator, and it saves all of those sizes for you in the right naming too, because you have to name it properly. So this version's kind of older, but the new version allows you to do that. But if you go under File there, you notice it says PNG automatically right there. See it? And it says Use Artboard. We only have 1 artboard, so you don't have to use that. And then you give it a name. This is amoeba. Amoeba? I don't know. Whatever goes in your stomach and makes you sick. And I can just slap it on my desktop for now. And then screen resolution, you can see you can save the different resolutions. Oh, notice it's saving the whole thing. Uh-oh, look at that. That's not good. I only want the artboard. I guess I do have to say artboard. I'm sorry. I was lying there. Export, use artboard. Oh, I noticed it was saving this stuff over here, which I didn't want. I only wanted the amoeba. So keep that in mind. I made a mistake there. Use artboard. It was saving things outside. I didn't notice that. And then, oh, now it's only saving my amoeba. The other thing you'll notice about saving this PNG is the background can be transparent. I was saving a logo this morning, and I wanted it to be on a gray background, and saved it as a PNG, and it's transparent, and I put it on a gray background and gray pencil. The other thing I was using Illustrator for today, earlier this morning, was I was making these things, favicons. See those little icons that are up there? Illustrator is great for making those little icons in the web browser. See where my cursor is pointing at the top up there? Those are called, of course, favicons. I made a couple today of these new ones. And so I'm going to stop talking. I'll come and help you work on the brushes. I showed you a lot of different things. I'll take this video and put it on YouTube. You can watch it at your house. It takes a while to upload, so it's not going to be done today. And then